Hey guys, this is Friday's video. We are officially at the halfway point in the semester, so hang in there, you're doing great work, and keep going. So today's video is just going to be over coding data it's kind of a continuation of Thursday's video when I started to show you the solitary confinement data. I'm going to show you that data and we're going to dip into the zombie survey, as I've mentioned multiple times. And your homework for Monday is to complete one of your findings and to post it in discussion 12. More specifically, I'll show you what I've typed up here, just so there's no confusion. So again, everyone's link should be attached by yesterday at 6 p.m. and by midnight tonight, I want you guys to go in and take your peers' surveys. If there's any confusion about this or if there's any trouble with the links, then please shoot me an email and I will try to figure it out as soon as possible so that Saturday morning, again, all of you will wake up, rush to the computer, and have that data ready. All right, so discussion 12, which is due Monday at 6 p.m., I just have the instructions here, and it will become available on this one will become available on Saturday, and the rest of them will become available on Sunday. So you'll have some extra time to work ahead if you have an extra job or you're taking other classes, whatever. So it just says attach a Word document with one of your findings. It should be a chart, graph, table, or some other visual representation of one of your findings. I basically want you to start practicing with the I'm going to use the Smart Art function on Word, and it's also on PowerPoint. If you know a different method, or you've taken like a communications class or some other class that has taught you how to create visual representations of data, then go for it. If you want to use a different survey analytics system, that's fine as well. If you know more about this outside of this class, then please apply your knowledge. So I'm just going to show you what I'm the most familiar with, but by no means should that limit what you want to do. And I just had a little reminder here. It says, remember, don't represent yes or no data with a visual. Just put it as a bullet point in your paper. But I am asking for a visual with this discussion post. Okay? And then peer editing for next week, it's already on the syllabus. Your findings and discussion section, I'm asking for 2 to 3 of your findings. So this one will be one of your findings, and you can use that in the same discussion. Just elaborate on those and start that discussion section, respond to your peers, and then this is just complete page 79 in JAC like you did with page 78. Okay, so that's all for next week. And then, of course, as it says on the syllabus, the qualitative research paper will be due Friday at midnight or 11:59 p.m. in a week. So by next Friday. And then we'll start the last unit, and then we'll get to our final portfolio, which this is basically a revision week, and then the class will be over. So it's going to move right along like it has been the entire semester. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to the survey about solitary confinement, and then we will go to the other one. So, okay, I'm on SurveyMonkey. Hopefully you guys seem to be able to use SurveyMonkey pretty well. And I started with this one here. So again, this is the question that I asked all of you to have, or a question like this one. And I had a ton of excellent responses. You won't have this many just by the nature of the class itself. And I created an Excel spreadsheet, which I already showed you guys for this question. So there are a couple ways to code the data. I pulled up a sheet here for a couple of those ways to code the data, and I will put this on eCampus with all the rest of our documents. So qualitative research, again, this is just a little bit about what qualitative research is. I've been talking about it for the past 2 weeks and emailing you guys kind of obsessively to make sure you understand the nature of this project. So you're wanting to let the data speak for itself. So again, you're not kind of forcing the data into a box or injecting your own opinion into the data. That's fine to look at information in your annotated bib and include that in the introduction in the discussion section of your qualitative research paper. However, the data, the findings themselves should represent what your peers believe, what beliefs you're recording. So there are 3 rounds, and then I've broken them down here into questions to help you guys a little bit more. So round 1 is just looking for repeated words and themes, anything that surprised you, and just overall impressions. So as you're going through, you might have assumptions that you didn't even know you had about the data, and you might think, oh, well, everyone knows what a dystopia is, and then someone has kind of like a left field definition for dystopia or medical error or whatever your topic may be. So that might help you understand a lack of awareness, or maybe the opposite end, a hyper awareness of a subject. And that can tell you something, that can communicate information to you in terms of the sample pool, or quote public opinion of the sample within the sample pool about a certain topic. So that's round 1. Round 2 is, it deals a lot with emotions. So how do people respond emotionally to, or emotion-wise, to certain questions? These may or may not be applicable. What do they value? And then round 3 is the cross-coding. That's why I had you add age, gender, major, and subject, or, sorry, not subject, class. I don't know where subject came from. Okay, so for round 1, just to emphasize, circle, highlight it, or highlight repeated words, themes. What surprised you in the data? What are your overall impressions? Again, emotion-based responses. What patterns emerge? What's most important to the participant? What does the participant value? And what are some striking or interesting words or phrases? So if you have any open-ended responses, again, those who, what, when, where, why, and how questions, and you can actually direct quote phrases from the respondents. So if you guys type in or write in anything useful, like very useful or very striking, which all of your responses will be useful. I didn't mean to make it sound like they weren't, but that might be a good place to direct quote those. So let me show you an example from the solitary confinement. It is up here. So what do you think is the purpose of showing solitary confinement on television shows or streaming shows? And some people actually wrote in, because my assumption was it's just for entertainment, which is sadistic, right? And it's incomplete, essentially. So a lot of people wrote invokes fear and curiosity. There's one person who wrote, so dramatic effect would be helpful. And one person wrote, quote, torture porn, actually. And I don't know if it's in this one or in the other one, but there's a similar question up top. But to emphasize one of the worst situations a human can suffer, I might quote that. There was a gothic depiction, was a quote that I ended up using in my research. Anyway. Okay, so stuff like that people would type in. If there's something useful in here, you can just know that you can direct quote it. I am a huge fan of direct quoting, so please take advantage of that. Okay, and then the last thing is what I mean by age, gender, class, and major. Basically, are there any patterns that emerge with these clusters? So if you put if you start to see that, again, male and female are answering specific ways, or like whatever the gender identification is, or age, like if typically there's not a huge range of ages in English 102 classes. There might be a little bit more for an online class. But you want to cluster these groups and see if patterns emerge. But that's, again, round 3. So rounds 1 and 2 are more important. You should be doing data representation or data coding based on rounds 1 and 2 first. So another thing to show you real quick with the solitary confinement raw data is I asked this question. This is just one of my questions. And that's also, a fourth way to code the data is just look at the question and see what patterns emerged in terms of the question. So I asked, what has informed your image or understanding of solitary confinement? And I be sure to say if they can check more than one. So please check all that apply. And again, I already showed you on SurveyMonkey how to do that function. They put movies, TV shows, and fiction books. So I pulled out, and there are like 8 different multiple choice answers that I provided for them. Movies, 36 out of 46. So only everyone but 10 people marked movies. That's 78%. So I would represent this maybe as a table or something like that. And then these were the write-in responses where they actually wrote in. They wrote in the Green Mile they had seen. 19 out of 46 people wrote that in. 16 out of 46 wrote Orange is the New Black. I was doing the project over Prison Break and Oz, and so I wanted more people to write in Prison Break and or Oz. They didn't, so it kind of altered my perceptions of how people are interacting with specific, like which shows people are interacting with, and Orange is the New Black is the most popular TV show according to this survey. So that's all for that. Let me show you the zombie data now, because I've been talking about it for so much. We're just going to jump into it now. All right, so here's the survey. I've shown you this before. It's a 9-question survey. This would be something you could see on SurveyMonkey. It'd be easy to put in. For the data for that, sorry, I'm all over the place, a couple of things. The first thing I started to notice when people were writing down, like, what is a zombie, or what are the words that come to your mind when you think of zombie, most of them were physical conditions, and 15 out of 20, I believe, responded with the words dead, lifeless, dead, or undead, or corpse. So we have dead and undead. There's already contradiction there, I'm noticing. And then the next one would be like rot guts, smelly, gross, disgusting, etc. So I made this here, and you guys do not and should not make a PowerPoint. This is just from a previous class, okay? So you can just put it in a Word document. That is going to be sufficient. Keep in mind that this 9, I made a mistake, not perfect. The 9 should be over here because it should go in order of the number. So 33, 11, 11, 11, 9. And so the brain and brain eating just needs to go down here. So that's how, again, this is very similar to the solitary confinement one I showed you in Thursday's video. And then the discussion section, I'll go ahead and put this online as well so that you guys can see an example of me doing a discussion section rather than just the students. And here's another finding. I asked this question literally from the survey, and you can put this just the question for your kind of explanation at the top. Where do you think zombie lore / myths originated from? So if you can see on the zombie data, I did the same thing. That's for all of this, and I just tallied it up literally, and these are all write-ins, so I tried to kind of group like things together. And SurveyMonkey's already going to do some of the work for you. However, as you're seeing here, if you have a comment box or you're writing in something like this, then you still need to do some manual labor in terms of getting the correct numbers. So for example, the one I just looked at, the 78%, is right here. So I just took the top 3. I looked at how many people had answered by using these analytics. Yeah, sorry, this is clear. So 78, as you can see here, 78.26%. Anyway, so SurveyMonkey will do some work for you, but it can't do all the work, and that's good because you have to have some control over the data. So this here, as you can see here, I made a table, and they go up. These are all one response. So this isn't a super amazing finding, however, it's serving the purpose of the example. Okay, so I'll put this online, and I will put this document online as well. The last thing I want to show you is how to create one of these charts, and I'm going to try to do it in under a minute because my video is going to run out. Okay, so you go to Insert, you go to Smart Art or Chart. I normally go to Chart, and I just go to Pie Chart. So I go to OK, and as you can see there are a lot of different things that you can mess with. This here is going to be like your number, so or your category. So you might be like, how many people marked dead, and you put however many people marked dead for your zombie survey or whatever. How many people put brains, and you're going to put that here as well. Sales, this would just be your survey question itself, and then it will transfer the data over. In Monday's video, I will do a little bit more tutorial on how to create findings, but for right now, go ahead and play around with it and see what you can come up with, or just shoot me an email if you have a specific question about the finding that you're creating for Monday.